If your apple, pear, peach, or plum tree gave you a fantastic harvest for the first few years and now barely produces anything, I need to tell you something up front. It is not the weather, it is not bad luck, and it is not a weak variety. 90% of the time, it comes down to one overlooked mistake that almost every home orchard owner makes without even realizing it. And today, I am going to walk you through the exact low-cost fix that professional orchard managers rely on to keep mature fruit trees producing heavy, reliable crops year after year, instead of watching them slowly fade into a shadow of what they used to be. Before we get into it, if you actually want your fruit trees to perform like real orchard trees, instead of just standing there as decoration, go ahead and subscribe right now, because this channel is built around one thing: practical, tested growing advice that you can use in your own backyard this season, not vague theory you'll forget by tomorrow. By the time this video is over, you will understand exactly why healthy-looking fruit trees quietly stop producing after their first strong years, what is really happening below the soil surface that nobody warns you about, and the simple, cheap trick that commercial growers use to reverse that decline. This is not a gimmick, and it is not something I read once on a forum. It is a method rooted in real orchard management, simplified so you can do it yourself with ingredients that are probably already sitting in your kitchen or garage. Let's start with the story almost every fruit tree owner tells me, because chances are it's your story too. You plant a young peach, plum, cherry, apple, or pear tree, or maybe you buy a house that already has one growing in the yard. The first year or two, everything seems to work. You water when the soil looks dry, you throw down a bag of all-purpose fertilizer once or twice a season, and the tree rewards you with blossoms, fruit, and that satisfying feeling that you've somehow got a green thumb. That early success is exactly what tricks so many growers into thinking they've figured everything out, and that's exactly what makes the eventual slowdown feel so confusing when it finally hits. I've spoken with a long list of backyard growers over the years, in completely different climates, growing completely different varieties, and this same pattern shows up again and again. The tree comes out strong, coasts for a season or two on nutrients that were already stored in the soil or the root ball from the nursery, and then it hits a wall. Once you understand why that wall exists, fixing it stops being a mystery and becomes something you can actually control every single season. So let's talk about the real problem, because you need to understand this before any trick is going to make sense or actually work for you. In the first 2 or 3 years, a young fruit tree explodes with blossoms and sets fruit almost effortlessly. Then, year 4 or 5 arrives, and suddenly the same tree is giving you half the crop, or the blossoms drop before they ever swell into fruit, or the tree flowers beautifully, but the fruit set is thin and disappointing. This is the point where panic sets in. People blame the weather, blame the rootstock, sometimes even assume the tree is sick and consider tearing it out. Here is what almost nobody tells you when they sell you that tree at the nursery. Fruit trees are heavy feeders, and more specifically, they are heavy trace mineral feeders, not just heavy nitrogen or heavy water feeders. The soil directly around a backyard tree gets stripped of specific micronutrients far faster than most people expect, because every single season, that tree is pulling minerals out of that same limited root zone to build blossoms, form fruit, and pack sugar into that fruit. If nothing is putting those exact minerals back in a form the roots can absorb, the tree physically cannot keep producing full crops. It isn't stubbornness, it isn't disease, it is depletion, plain and simple. The number one mistake I see, and one I made myself early on, is fixating on nitrogen. A tree looks a little tired, and the instinct is to reach for a nitrogen-rich fertilizer because nitrogen equals green, fast growth. But nitrogen pushes leafy, vegetative growth. It does not push flowering, and it does not push fruit set. Push too much nitrogen, especially late in the season, and you can actually work against yourself, because the tree channels its energy into growing more branches and leaves instead of holding on to developing fruit. The second common mistake is completely overlooking boron and calcium levels in the root zone. Soil that has held the same tree for years without any real mineral replenishment tends to run low on boron specifically, and almost nobody talks about this one. Boron is essential for pollen tube growth and successful fertilization in fruit trees. Without enough of it, a tree can blossom beautifully and still lose a huge percentage of those blossoms because pollination fails at a cellular level before fruit can even begin forming. The third mistake is inconsistent watering. Some growers underwater right during the critical fruit set window. Others overwater and flush the very nutrients the tree needs most, right when it's deciding how much fruit it can actually hold on to and support through to harvest. Now, let's get get into the actual mechanics of this, and I promise to keep it simple because I'm not trying to give you a botany lecture, just what actually works in the real world. When a fruit tree blossoms, that flower has to be pollinated, and once pollination succeeds, the tree has to physically build the structure of a fruit using minerals and stored sugars pulled up from the soil and from reserves built the previous season. Two elements sit right at the center of this process: boron and calcium. Boron helps the pollen tube grow into the flower so fertilization can occur, which directly decides whether that blossom becomes fruit or simply drops off and wastes the tree's energy. Calcium, meanwhile, builds strong cell walls inside the developing fruit, which is exactly why calcium-deficient trees often show fruit drop, cracking, or soft, poorly formed fruit even when the initial fruit set looked promising. On top of that, potassium plays a major role in moving sugar into the fruit and determining its final size, which is why trees running low on potassium tend to produce smaller, less sweet fruit even when everything else appears healthy. Here's the part that matters most for you as a home grower. Boron, calcium, and potassium are precisely the elements that get used up fastest in a small, repeatedly cropped root zone, and they are exactly the elements that generic all-purpose fertilizers either skip or include in amounts too small to make a real difference. Think about it logically. A general fertilizer has to serve lawns, vegetables, houseplants, and ornamental shrubs all at once, so its ratios are built to be broad and safe across the board, not specifically tuned to the intense reproductive demands of a mature fruit tree during its most critical weeks. That's not a flaw in the product, it's simply not what it was designed for. Your tree, meanwhile, is running an intense annual reproductive cycle, building thousands of blossoms, converting a share of them into fruit, and then packing sugar and structure into that fruit, all within a few short months. That kind of output demands a concentrated, specific mineral supply delivered at exact windows of time, and that gap is precisely what generic fertilizing quietly leaves open, draining your tree's potential season after season without you ever noticing until the harvest numbers start shrinking. This is where the simple mineral fix comes in, and I want to walk you through it properly rather than just throwing the ingredients at you, because doing this incorrectly can actually stress your tree instead of helping it. Commercial orchard growers, especially in established stone fruit and palm fruit orchards, rely on a cheap, remarkably effective combination built around borax and Epsom salt applied in small amounts at very specific points in the growing season, never randomly, whenever you happen to remember. Borax supplies the boron your tree needs for pollen tube growth and fruit set. Epsom salt supplies magnesium sulfate, which supports chlorophyll production and helps the tree make better use of the other nutrients already present in the soil. This combination is one of the oldest tricks in commercial fruit growing, and it remains shockingly underused by home growers who instead spend money on expensive fertilizer blends that never actually target the real deficiency. Let me break the professional approach into clear steps so you can apply it correctly on your own tree, whether it's a peach, plum, cherry, apple, or pear, because timing here matters just as much as the ingredients themselves. Step 1. Apply your first treatment in early spring, right before bud break, while the tree is still dormant but starting to stir. This is the window where the tree pulls stored nutrients up from the roots to build its first blossoms, and giving it boron and magnesium at this exact moment sets up the entire season for stronger pollination. For a mature tree, roughly 5 years or older, use about 1 tablespoon of borax dissolved thoroughly into 1 gallon of water, poured evenly around the drip line, which is the outer edge of the canopy, not directly against the trunk. For younger trees, 2 to 3 years old, cut that down to about half a tablespoon, because young trees are more sensitive to boron and more is never better here. Step 2. Roughly 3 to 4 weeks after bloom, once you can actually see fruit has set on the branches, apply a second round, this time focused on Epsom salt, about 1 tablespoon dissolved into a gallon of water, again applied around the drip line. This timing supports the tree during that critical early fruit development window, when it's building cell structure and starting to size up the fruit. Step 3. And this is the step almost everyone skips. About halfway through fruit development, when the fruit is visibly sizing up but still hard and green, do a light foliar spray, meaning you spray it directly onto the leaves leaves rather than the soil, using a very diluted mix, about half a teaspoon of borax, fully dissolved in a gallon of water, sprayed lightly over the leaves in the early morning or late evening when temperatures are cooler. Foliar feeding lets the tree absorb that boron quickly through the leaves, giving it a boost right when it's working hardest to hold on to developing fruit instead of dropping it. Step 4. After harvest, once you've picked your fruit for the season, give the tree one more light treatment of Epsom salt around the root zone, about 1 tablespoon per gallon of water for a mature tree, because this is the window where the tree rebuilds its energy reserves for next year's blossoms. Skip this step and you're essentially starting next season already behind. Now I want you to drop a comment down below, because it genuinely helps me understand what's happening with your trees, and it helps other growers reading through the comments too. Type the word drop if your main issue is blossoms or small fruit falling off before harvest, or type the word small if your tree holds fruit just fine but the fruit stays undersized or never ripens sweet. I read through every one of these, and it shapes what I cover in future videos, based on what real backyard growers are actually dealing with, not just theory. If this video helped you, tap that subscribe button. We're aiming for 1,000 subscribers by the end of the month, and your support genuinely makes a difference. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.